A small town protects a group of survivors. Among them was a boy named Hang Tu. He ventured below the safe altitude limit to use binoculars and saw a settlement on a distant mountain. On the way back, he noticed a bright red light chasing after him. A monster sniffed his scent. The Silk Cave rushes uphill towards the clearly marked safe height limit. As soon as the creature approaches, break the limit and the monster stops. No more pursuits. Arrivons. Hanga recounted his meeting with his father. When he was very angry. When scolded Hang for risking his life and reminded him of his weak lungs. It may have stopped him from breathing during the chase. I take oxygen every night. Gwyn said. Then, Gwyn goes hunting with Katie, a friend of his ex-wife Talon. Gwyn explained that the Silk Cave often goes below the limit to see the other community. Katie sympathizes because she misses her peers and longs for someone to play with. But Gwyn also said that this is not only because of loneliness. And the place where the Silk Cave came was the place where he last saw his mother. While hunting deer, Gwyn and Katie managed to take down their prey and start returning with the loot. On the way back, they saw the neighbor Nina testing homemade armor-piercing bullets. Check them on a piece of monster scales. Hard scales are almost indestructible. Before the catastrophe happened, Nina is an excellent scientist who devotes herself to her work. Now, she dreams of finding a way to kill these creatures. That night, Ian heard a warning siren from the ventilator that Hang to use at night. And Gwyn quickly changed the filter so that the Silk Cave could breathe more easily. Hammers are born prematurely and have underdeveloped lungs. Can be shut down at any time. Realize that the filter supply is depleted. Gwyn decided to venture to the lowlands, especially to Boulder, where the hospital may still have medicines and objects for. The next day, Gwyn spends time with the Silk Cave. Teach him how to protect potato plants from a cold and how to fish properly. Because it's Hag Do's birthday, Gwyn goes to the store in town and buys the last pack of macaroni and cheese noodles. Hag 2's favorite dish to make a special dinner. During meals, I feel sorry for not having the opportunity to socialize. He asked why they didn't use the radio to communicate with others. Gwyn explained that their power supply was only enough to power the Silk Company's machine, and that they kept in touch with other shelters using a pennant. After dinner, Cartier stopped by with a few cans of beer. Sit on the porch. She and Yin remembered the carefree days before the disaster happened, while observing the latest experiments of Nina. That night, Hamter had trouble breathing again. Forced Gwyn to use an emergency medication syringe because they ran out of machine filters. Realized that time is running out. Wendy arrives at Nina's house in the middle of the night. The way I drink helped me not to commit suicide. What about you? Their story reveals that Nina once went to the lab in Boulder. Bring chemicals and equipment for weapons research against these creatures. It was during that trip I did. Gwyn's wife. Killed. And Gwyn holds a deep resentment towards Nina for leading me to death. Nevertheless, because Nina is the only person who has ever returned alive from such a trip. Gwyn asked her to accompany him to the hospital. Nina refused, given that the idea is madness because those creatures will tear them apart. Gwyn resolutely said that she owes him this, Vitara, and pointed out that she had nothing left to lose. He leaves with the belief that she will eventually join him. After the wind leaves, Nina began to build a special compass, haunted by the memories of her last trip. As she witnesses monsters slaughtering her friends, including me, Nina is obsessed with guilt. Last, it was this guilt that motivated her to agree to join the mission, and she came to find a win. Gwyn asked a local woman to take care of the Silk Cave for 5 days when he set out to get the heart. The next morning, Gwyn prepares weapons at the arsenal for the trip. The Goda finds him there and confronts him for leaving without saying a word. How are you going to leave and kill yourself without saying a word like me? Gwyn down. Sorry, that shouldn't be said, right? Candy said. It was obvious that she had feelings for Will. Determined to cut off, grab a gun, and insist on participating in the cutting trip. What are you doing outdoors? Nina was waiting. She warned that the monsters were almost identical to what she saw from the top of the mountain. They tear people apart easily, and bullets do not affect them. The only way to slow them down for a few seconds is to shoot them directly in the face. Before leaving, Ian said goodbye to the Silk Cave, promised to be back in 5 days. Hang, the bitter tree reiterates that those are the words his mother said before her deadly trip with Nina. The group of people set off according to the planned route, in order to minimize the time spent below a safe height. To save time, they plan to use a cable car to quickly cross the lowlands. On the way, the tension between the Nina and the sand goes up. They clearly don't like each other. Kat went to be annoyed by Nina's attitude. Gwyn dropped the bottle of wine in Nina's hand. When they discover a military convoy destroyed by monsters at the foot of the mountain, they decided to get down and search the abandoned Toyota Land Cruise cars along with the corpses of the soldiers to get the tools. While climbing down, Ha explained that her compass could detect monsters within half a mile. Its force field is stronger than that of any living organism on this planet. She handed the compass to Kay. Give her the task of keeping watch while Wynn searches for supplies, and Nina digs up a piece of monster scales for further research. When searching, Ian finds a grenade launcher under the barrel, but he admits he doesn't know how to use it. Cut it off confidently and attach it to the rifle. They were about to continue their trip, but first exchange harsh words. Nina accuses the goblins of flirting with her deceased friend's husband. There's a reply that my death is the fault of the Nina. The controversy escalated. The two exchanged punches before the group of reluctant people continued their journey. On the way, they met a large herd of wild horses, signs that nature is thriving in the absence of humans in the lowlands. Last, they arrive at an old ski resort with a cable car that will take them up the next mountain. Nina noticed a monster on the compass. It is approaching. Its warning light flashed in the forest behind them. Put away, I want to run to a higher area. Janina argues that there is no time. Yian stood on Nina's side and rushed to the cable car control room to restart. As the monster approaches, they was going to shoot a grenade at it. The explosion slows down the monster for a while, but do not harm it. While the goblins and Nina stood defensively and shot at the approaching monster, Gwen finally restored power and started the cable car. He and Nina jumped on a chair and started going uphill. Sand away. Now it's in a higher position. Climb on a support pole and jump towards the moving chair. She just grabbed the side of the chair, and Yuyan pulled her hand up. At that moment, the monster swung a tassel, hit the cable. The shot from there made the chair shake strongly, causing all three people to fall to the ground. Fortunately, the fall was not too high. They got up in a hurry and ran towards the safe height limit. They reached the boundary just as the monster stopped at the edge. Can't continue to follow. That night, the group stayed in a house in the middle of the resort. Share a bottle of whiskey before bed. Ninja explained that the initial attack of these creatures was so swift and powerful that humanity had no chance of identifying their weaknesses. When seeing them up close, everything is different. Civilization collapsed in just a few days. She revealed that the monsters only attack humans, completely ignore the animals. This challenges the theory that they are predators looking for food. They do not consume their prey, simply destroying people. Plus, no one has ever seen them sleep. Nina also finds it strange that the monsters are limited in height. It is not possible to climb higher than a certain height before sleeping. Gwyn remembers a conversation he had with Tara before her death trip. He tried to convince her, accusing Nina of being motivated by a selfish desire to enroll herself as the first person to kill a monster. He thinks Nina, no family, unable to understand the value of life and ready to lead anyone to death to achieve his goals. Taza didn't listen. She has no family. She never had a family that she could have. The next day, three people came to the gate of a mine, dug through the mountain, and went out on the other side. Nina is surprised and angry that one doesn't warn them about this path. She reminded him that although the entrance and exit were on the safe zone, but the middle part of the tunnel is lower, with many sub-branches descending even deeper. How do you know these tunnels are completely straight? Or they'll explode somewhere in the middle. That will take us below the limit. Or maybe you didn't think about it. We are going below the limit, right? Because the monsters come from underground and move easily. This path puts them at a disadvantage. They come from the underground world. They are born to live in it. And we don't. They can see in the dark. They detect the smallest amount of CO2 we exhale. Plus, the compass of Anina will not work correctly in the heart of the mountain. Despite the dangers, they still wore helmets with flashlights and decided to go deep into the mine. When you reach the end of the road, they discovered the exit was locked. There is no other choice. They had to climb down a ladder into a lower tunnel to find an alternative exit. So what will we do when we come to the department? You asked. We just need to start running. Yuan replied. Hurry up. We can't run that fast. We will be exhausted and make too much noise. Even worse than that, it will increase our CO2 intake by 4 times, and they can track from stomach. The tree of light is from those tassels, so we will go slowly and steadily. Let's prepare, not just 1 minute to think about my death. You're funnier, I thought. Sincere. He is also smarter than I thought. In one of the corridors below, they covered the flashlight with their hands and saw a faint red light. They began to run in a hurry. Yes went to shoot grenades at the entrance. Hopefully it can be stopped with rubble, but the explosion only slowed down the monster a little. The group of people entered a narrow space. Turn off the flashlight and hold your breath to avoid exhaling carbon dioxide. The monster searched for them. Its tassels detect the air. As the creature gets closer, original in a flare, disperse it long enough that the team can put it deeper into the tunnel. Cut to lead the way. But suddenly she was faced with another monster waiting in the dark. The creature stabbed her with a tassel and dragged her into the darkness. Win and Nina, painful but unable to help, found another ladder and climbed out of the mine to safety. The principal of Sand lingered for a moment before continuing towards the arranger's house, where they planned to stay overnight. At home, Ian discovered a package of macaroni and cheese. Favorite dish of the sheet. How many times have you made this dish for your son? He always asks for it because it contains milk, protein, and cheese, like an opium, as addictive as morphine. When they sat by the campfire, Nina shares her hypothesis. So the monster creates an electronic field. If you can design a bullet that disrupts this school, it can cause these creatures to explode. A bullet attached to the Periclitus. When it hits, her theory is that it creates a temporary million-volt difference in an uncontrollable internal explosion. Nevertheless, she needed chemicals from a lab to test this theory. Wynn dismisses this idea as absurd and expresses regret that his wife died trying to help Nina with her crazy theory. That's what she has been doing all this time. A miracle bullet. It's not a miracle. It's science. That's just a hypothesis. The next morning, Win and Nina drive the manager's truck and move to the safety limit, where there is the city and the hospital they need to go to. Drive fast on the road. They rush to the hospital. Upon arrival, they cautiously went inside, searched for 4 medical warehouses, quietly climbed the upper floors. They found the storage room, but the shelves are empty. A suspicious noise was heard from downstairs. They keep moving. Last, Ian discovered another forced storage area. All the filters he needed. He stuffed 3 lots. While looking at a worried, noticed the presence of a nearby monster on his compass. When they were going out, the monster pierces through the walls trying to chase them. The two hurriedly ran to the next floor, but its tour goes through the wall and wraps around the Win. Hold him back. The ninja swung a fire axe at the tassel. Make it drop, Win roar. And Gwen activated the fire sprinkler system to act as a shield. They fled along the corridor. Saw a room filled with oxygen cylinders. Ian came up with a plan. He orders Nina to run away while he prepares for an ambush. Wait until the monster rushes in. He fired accurately at one of the bottles. Cause an explosion. The explosion blew the monster out of the building. Leave it motionless outside. Nina, he really hasn't left yet. Speak. I thought I told you to run, and I didn't listen. She insisted that it should be easier for them to go to a nearby lab instead of going right back to the mountains. How much more time did she by herself? 6 months. 1-5. So let's come back here. If we can prove that they can be killed, all the rest of those mountains will know. The whole world will come to fight with us. And Gwen reluctantly agreed as they drove away. They didn't notice the monster moving. Slowly revived. At the laboratory where Nina used to work, she seemed more confident while she experiments with chemicals. Cover the bullets with a layer of material and check them on the monster scale fragments. Gwen explored this facility when accidentally discovers Nina's old office and finds a photo of her family. Number. He faced her. He never knew she had a child. Nina admits that she lost them during the monster's attack because she came to work that day, even though it was her day off. She admits that she is haunted by guilt for dying with them. He must have thought about Tara too. I shouldn't have encouraged her to come with me. I was overconfident. I think I've figured out how to stop them, but I was wrong. If that comforts you, I hate myself more than you can hate me. I just blame him because it's easier than blaming myself. I knew she was going even though I tried to stop her, and I let it happen. He couldn't blame himself. Neither of us can. Initial experiments yielded no results. Fret, Wynn suggested they leave, as Nina insisted that he should continue without her. She plans to stay and continue her work. She promised to catch up with him in her car. The car has been covered with dust in the parking lot for the past 3-5 years. Yun wanted to help. Nina advised him not to risk his life for her. It was her own responsibility. Moreover, Silk Rose need filters, and if they don't have them, he won't survive. Ninga fine-tunes her process. Use a torch to help the coating on the bullet dry faster. When the compass needle stops, signaling the arrival of a monster. She noticed some rechargeable batteries and decided to use cobalt, a material used to create heat-plated magnets. She successfully built and charged her first cobalt-coated bullet. As soon as a monster rushes into the building, aim, she fired. Meanwhile, Wynn drives fast towards the mountains in the manager's truck, but a tire exploded, make the car slide, and crash into a rock before flipping upside down. Ian lost consciousness, and when he woke up, it was already dark. He heard the roar of a monster nearby. Take 3 lots. He hurriedly ran away, head to a safe place in higher ground. A monster chased him relentlessly through the rugged terrain. As he nears safety, a monster blocked his path. Another one quickly appeared, and they surrounded him. Make Wynn desperate. He shoots at them, knowing that this is a battle that cannot be won. Suddenly, a monster fell, immobile, and exploded into pieces of fire. At the top of the hill, Nina stood there, victory, holding a rifle loaded with cobalt ammunition. These bullets short-circuited the monster's electronic field. Make them explode. Nina takes down the rest of the monsters, revealing their internal parts are machines. The wreckage shows that they are not living creatures, but machines, programmed to target people and avoid heights above 8,000 charges. They are not living organisms. Gwyn commented, they are programmed machines with a super advanced design, possibly of alien origin, or maybe China's. It's a joke. Sorry. Gwyn and Nina return to the village. In a silk cave, he greeted his father with a hug full of tears. Ninja raises a flag with the Jolly Roger symbol on the village's flagpole, a signal to other settlements that she has found a way to fight monsters. The good news spread over the radio, and the villagers began making homemade cobalt bullets using readily available materials. At the memorial of the village by the river, Nina entered the winch and placed a bullet engraved with Katie's name, remembering her sacrifice. Together, they continue to fulfill the dream of sand. Fight the monsters again. A volunteer team armed with new weapons from the village set out on the road. Down from mountains, the camera turned away. From above, reveal the blast flashes in the distance. When alien robots are destroyed, humanity is finally resisting.